lot of people remember the first screw job as far as being between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart.
Hmm.
Actually, no. The very first screw job was between the Fabulous Moolah and Wendi Richter,
It
and
was.
this was actually the beginning of it. If I'm not
It was just so. Well, this would have been Rick. This should have been, I believe, Richter's first. Well, I think it's her only, really. No, her first. Championship win. Because at this point,
uh,
Moolah's already had the championship for like 20 something years. In fact, someone correct. I forgot. It was either. I think it was during that promo. I think it was Captain Lou. Like was like, oh, Fabulous Moolah champion for 12 years. Moolah's like, no, 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 no. I've been champion for like 20 something years. And even like Captain Lou, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So, Moolah's had this epic run, and then here comes Wendi Richter with Cyndi Lauper. So we're getting the start of that rock and roll connection that helped WWE big time in the 80s. And you're right, this is the start of that because Wendi Richter goes up. Really, the ending of this match, so 80s. It was so
yeah,
80s. And yes, look, you absolutely could have gotten away. You did get away with it back then. Today, people would be up in arms. But be that as it may, and we'll talk about that in a moment. This is definitely something. You're right. That original screw job was Wendi, and really between Wendi Richter and Vince McMahon, just like it was between Bret Hart and
correct,
Vince McMahon. And
correct,
actually,
correct.
Wendi even talks about it on the Netflix documentary briefly,
Mhm.
because they interview her. And yeah, it was not this match, but later on when it was against the Spider Woman, who ended up
Yeah,
being Moolah. And
Moolah,
yeah,
yeah.
Richter just wouldn't go over. So, and look, you know what? On those two screw jobs, I'm not gonna lie, I side with Vince on both of them because it is, yeah, that's Vince's property. That's not their property. You know what? And we could do a whole nother podcast or a show about me and my dislike of Bret Hart at this point, but that's for another time down the road.
Bitter, isn't he, man?
The
Bitter,
most
dude.
bitter human being on the planet, and sadly it all stemmed from, which is a shame. It all started with Owen, with that tragedy with Owen Hart. And at that point, Brett just made himself feel like he's bigger than the business, and nobody's bigger than the business. So, but again, that's
Yeah,
for another time.
yeah, yep,
Um,
yep, yep, definitely.
but
So
yeah, go ahead.
the the match starts off with an arm drag. Ola gives Wendi Richter an arm drag, I believe. Then they go back and forth at it. Here's the funny thing, right? We and this is like a little ha ha wink wink to the referee here. They coined Danny Davis as being the original heel referee, but if you ask me personally, I think the referee for that match he was the original heel referee because you seen Cyndi Lauper outright. Yes,
Yes,
she literally hits Moolah right in front of the referee, and the
right.
referee lets it go. And I'm like, what the what?
I mean, the ref could have held Moolah with Richter at that point. The ref could have told you what was on Cyndi Lauper's hat, her design. That's how close he was to her. Yeah, I saw that, and I was waiting. I was waiting for Monsoon to say something, but he didn't. To his
He
credit,
did.
he didn't. But yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what is this?
Oh my god. And then it ends off with a controversial win. I call it that way. Would it be what was the move? It was like a German suplex
It
type of.
was, yeah, it was basically a German suplex, right? I'm trying to remember exactly how it wasn't really a roll up, but it was
Right.
basically a German suplex where all four shoulders were on the mat. Even
Hmm.
though I guess technically Wendi was covering Moolah, and then at the last second, Wendi picked her arm
Wendy.
up. So instead of being a draw, that was it. And then what they did was like they kind of played around with the ending. They didn't
Hmm.
announce the winner yet. Moolah thought she won. Wendi thought
Hmm.
she won. The crowd had no idea. The announcers didn't know. And then it was eventually when the Fink Howard Finkel's like, the winner of this contest,
Hmm.
and drum roll please, new
Hmm.
champion. That's how it was announced. So that part I like, how they announced the win. But yeah, that roll up, which, and during a time of where women's wrestling really wasn't all that spectacular. I mean, it's nothing like what it is today.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, back then to do such an odd ending, especially to end Moolah's epic run, little interesting, a little weird, even for the
Yeah.
80s for me.
So you know the funny part is when the match is over, you see Cyndi Lauper going at it with Captain Lou, and she say, "No, no, 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 no! we won, we won. And meanwhile, the announcer already said, and the winner and new champion. And Cindy still saying, no, 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 we
She was
won, we won.
she was
And
still
we like,
kayfabing it. Yep. No, she didn't know when to stop. But hey, look, I don't know how much they clued her in. Who knows? So, and yeah, and it was a weak German suplex with an interesting aftermath. But hey, look, it got the belt on Richter, so it did what it had to do, I guess, at that point.
oh man, that yeah, it was definitely something else.